Okay, today I'm going to show you guys how to get certain network information from for your virtual machines. We're going to do the Windows 10 Consumer Edition. We're going to do a Ubuntu 20 version 20, I believe, and a Windows Server 2019. So the first thing you want to do is power on your virtual machines. Obviously, if you have enough RAM, you'll be able to turn all of them on at the same time. If you don't, just do them one at a time. And they're all gonna take a little while to boot up. Okay, so the first one we're gonna do is our Windows Server 2019. Windows Server 2016 should give you about the same results for almost exactly the same work. I doubt you'll have to change anything. If you go older than that, then there might be some differences, but since these are CMD commands, Windows doesn't really change them. So the first thing we need to do is unlock it. There should be a button to send Control-Alt-Delete. If you just hit Control-Alt-Delete, it'll just do it to your computer. There you go. And then you want to put your password in. And it will load. So give it a second to make sure that it's fully awake. You start clicking things too early and it'll just lag out on you. When it starts, it will probably start doing things like opening certain services and everything. If you wait for it to really wake up and do all those, then you'll have a little bit better of a time trying to get the information you need. All right, it looks like it's pretty much awake. So what we're going to do is go into our search bar. We're going to type the letters CMD, Charlie Mike Delta. It's going to take a second for it to wake up. Okay, so normally you just click on it, right, and open the command prompt. However, some of the commands we're going to need today are going to require administrator mode. So even though we're logged in as administrator, we're still in user mode for the administrator. So in order to turn on administrator mode, we have to right-click it, click Run as Administrator. Oh, there's one of the programs that we don't need today. So we'll just close that. Alright, so now that we're in the command prompt, we can get our information for our network. And remember that since this is a virtual machine, it's not going to have a lot of information here because it's all virtualized and it only should have one adapter. But the first thing we want to do is ipconfig space, and then you can do either a dash or you can do a /all, and that's going to give you a lot of information. The only information we need right now to look at is this one right here, Ethernet adapter, Ethernet 0. So if you're just looking for your adapter, Ethernet 0, there you go right there. You're also going to need your MAC address. MAC is your physical address. Now, you might think that a virtual machine would not have a physical address, but it's a virtual physical address. Which is it's kind of silly, but it's because it's called a physical address because these used to be burned in and unchangeable. Nowadays it's not really true anymore. It's kind of like how we say hang up a phone. But your physical address, your MAC address, is going to be this number right here. It's the way that you can tell is that it's 6 sets of 2. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of 2 digits. And do not mix this up with an IPv4 or an IPv6 address. An IPv6 address kind of looks similar, but it's a lot longer. And an IPv4 address looks kind of similar, but it only has numbers. It'll never have any letters in it. Usually your MAC address will have a couple letters. So those are the two important things we need from here, is to recognize that we have an Ethernet adapter, and then we have our physical or MAC address. and MAC stands for Media Access Control, if anyone was wondering. Okay, so once that's good, we can clear our screen, CLS, and we need to do our other command. Now this is the one that we need to be in administrator mode for. If you don't, if you're not in administrator mode, this won't give you the correct information. So the command we're going to run is netstat space -abn, and it's going to give you all this information. This stuff right here is telling you which services on your computer are using your network. So the most important one right here is servicehost.exe. That's the one that's the first one. Then there's a few where Windows doesn't actually know what those programs are. We'd have to dig a little further into that, but we don't really need to worry about that. If you're looking for, say, your top 3 for a homework assignment, you're going to look for servicehost.exe, and then it looks like the next one down, there's two more service hosts. So then spool SV, that would be your printer, I believe. I could be wrong about that. And you just scroll down until you find a third one that's different. And it looks like lsas.exe. And I may have missed one. There's lsas is up here as well. So we got service host, lsas, and spoolservice.exe. Those are all just different services that your computer is using over the network, so to speak. And that is how you find that information on Windows Server 2019, and it'll be identical on Windows Server 2016 or 2012. So now that we've done that, we're going to shut down our virtual machine, and we're going to move on to our Windows 10 consumer. Windows 10 right here. So Windows 10 does not require a password by default. You shouldn't need to go into administrator mode for this, but we're going to do it's basically the exact same thing. CMD. We can run it as administrator just as a good habit, and then just click yes, yes. And you'll notice also that your command prompts will say administrator command prompt. So again, exact same thing, ipconfig-all or ipconfig/all. It does the same thing. And we're looking again. It's Windows names the same stuff on a virtual machine. So our Ethernet adapter is Ethernet 0, and our physical address is very similar. One interesting thing about a MAC address or a physical address is that the first 3 octets. First 3 sets of numbers indicate who manufactured the network card, and so you'll notice that'll be the exact same first 3 for this as it was for our Windows Server, because Microsoft makes both of these, so to speak, virtual MAC addresses or virtual physical addresses. And again, do not mix it up with IPv4, IPv6. Or any of those other addresses. That your physical address is your MAC address. And then we're going to clear our screen, CLS, and check it for, again, our network. netstat-b should be enough on Windows 10. On server, it's a little different, because it requires more permissions and there's different rules on a server. Then you'll notice that it's probably going to be the exact same things. We've got service host running, the highest level programs, but then there will be some that are slightly different. Search ue.exe is also running some network programs, quite a few. And then we can keep scrolling down, and eventually, if you don't find any other ones, that's okay. Sometimes there just are only 1, 2 programs using your network. You can try it again with the additional parameters. And it'll give you a lot more. So if you really want to get 3 of them, you can do check servicehost.exe, lsas, and spool serve again show up here, and then we've got search UI down here. So ABN will give you more information, so you might as well just use netstat-abn every time. Cool. So we're going to move on to Ubuntu. And the Ubuntu one is going to be the one that's a little bit different. So you're going to put your password in. And then there's a shortcut to get to the terminal, which is basically the same thing as CMD, but I don't remember what it is. So we're just going to click on the tasks, the applications down here. Scroll down until you find terminal and click on that. We're then going to maximize our screen. And we're looking at ifconfig instead of ipconfig. And it should be -a. And you'll notice that Ubuntu names its Ethernet adapters, its network adapters slightly differently. So this is our network adapter right here. You'll notice it says Ethernet right there. So what we're looking for is this information right here, just Ethernet TX QLAN 1000. And then this number right here is your MAC address. So the one right next to Ether. And again, the way that you can tell it's a MAC address is you've got 6 groups of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and not way more than 6 groups of numbers, and not way less than 6 groups of numbers. So it's just this information right here should be enough for that. We're going to clear our screen, and we're going to run our other command, which is netstat. Again, netstat-p should be what we need. And it's going to give you a whole lot of running programs. So what we're looking at here, though, is our program name, right? Which is going to tell us what applications are actually running. So some of them don't have names, or they're just system processes. Don't quite understand that. We don't really need to understand that for these purposes. The ones we need are just going to be these ones. So system D, which is using our network, and then we've got ibus daemon or daemon using the network, and then GSD media keys using the network. And then you can go down further and see these other ones. If you want, you can try to figure out what each of them do. But again, we only really need the top 3 for our purposes. And we'll get into what all the rest of this means probably at a later date. And that should be all the information you need for this homework assignment.